Good day, colleagues. Welcome to today's webinar session. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
Great, thank you. So good day, colleagues. Welcome to today's webinar session organized by Plus-CircleCommunity Health Advancement Organization. We implore you to kindly follow our social media platforms for timely updates on similar events as this. Today's webinar is titled Speaking Life to Research, Mastering the Art of Writing Academic Commentary, Perspectives, and Opinion Pieces to Advance Knowledge. Our speaker is an expert in the field and is present to provide guidance on the subject matter. Without further ado, I'll proceed with the biography of our speaker. Yusuf Adebayo Adebisi is a dynamic global health advocate, pharmacist, epidemiologist, and health systems researcher who is committed to advancing public health through research, innovation, and advocacy. He earned his pharmacy degree from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and furthered his education with an MSc in Global Health Science and Epidemiology from the University of Oxford as a Commonwealth Shared Scholar. Currently, Yusuf is pursuing a PhD at the University of Glasgow, focusing on epidemiology and health inequalities, with funding from the Economic and Social Research Council. With over 150 journal articles and contributions to 7 book chapters, Yusuf is recognized as one of Nigeria's top 100 researchers. In 2022, Yusuf received the prestigious Princess Diana Award for his scientific contributions to Africa, and in 2024, he was awarded a grant by the Robert Koch Institute to advance antimicrobial resistance research in 13 ECOWAS countries. Through his work with various organizations, Yusuf continues to influence global health policies, cementing his role as a change maker and an inspiration to young researchers across Africa and beyond. His dedication to transforming global health exemplifies his leadership in creating a healthier and more equitable world. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's make welcome our speaker for today in person of Dr. Yusuf Adebayo Adebisi.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now? Sorry.
Yes, it's up.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So thank you very much for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak on this particular topic. The very first thing I would like to say basically is I'm always excited to have the opportunity to talk about these kind of things. And again, thank you very much, Prof, and everyone for attending. So to start with, I know as early career researcher, it's always very important for us to contribute original research to knowledge. So we want to do original research, we want to publish original data. But you will agree with me that there will be some instances where you actually want to contribute your own ideas, your own thoughts, like what you think, your own perspective. You want to contribute to debate in your feed. So it's not always every time that you want to contribute original things to knowledge. But many times, most of us don't know how to proceed or what to do or how to actually do that. So instead, what we try to do is to go on LinkedIn or go on Facebook or go on Twitter and type, oh, this, that, this thing should be done this particular way. But it's just there. Instead of doing that, you can also contribute all these beautiful insights to academic knowledge. You can get them published in academic platforms like journals, in which other scientists will be able to cite them and use them to advance knowledge in your feed. And another thing that I noticed is that most researchers, in the quest to publish original research, to publish original data, we all know that it takes time getting the data, analyzing the data, writing up the manuscript. But in between, you can also contribute opinion pieces. to academic journals. And you're establishing yourself as also as a thought leader in your field. So as early career researcher, we need to maximize all opportunity to improve our impact, to increase our impact, and also to improve our feasibility in our field. So, and the interesting thing about this kind of article is that they are also citable. I mean, they can be cited. And you having the idea, you being able to synthesize and pen this down in academic journal is always exciting. And that means that your idea is making way into an academic platform, even though it's not original research. So today we'll be discussing how you can actually do this and the importance and some case examples of the potential benefits and what it can do to you in your career as well. So what are they? Basically, the name is just the way I see the name. Some will call it viewpoints, some will call it commentary, some will call it comment, perspective, opinion pieces, editorial, correspondence, and all. But what is important basically is all of them, what they are trying to do is that you're trying to comment or talk about something that interests you, maybe contribute to a debate or share or critique a report or do something that has to do with you contributing your own knowledge or your own additional insight beyond just using original data or original research or going to field to collect the data. So now you are now using your own idea, your own perspective, your own informed opinion, and as well, you are trying to archive public health events as well by just trying to document things in your feed. I will explain this more. So what you should focus on basically is that all these articles, what you are trying to do with them is that you are trying to contribute your opinion, your own perspective, and they have different names. So names are not really important at this time because I've written some papers basically as commentary, but because it didn't make its way into a particular journal, I decided to submit as few points to another journal. But what is important and what is common to all of them basically is that you are sharing something unique, you are sharing your own perspective, you are sharing your own insight. And what this means basically is that before you actually decide to write this kind of article, you need to check the journal or the platform where you want to submit them to. So to know whether they accept this kind of article or not, and to know the layout or the guidance that they want you to follow. So sometimes it might be what will distinguish all this kind of article in the journal is the word count. For some journals, they have both viewpoints and commentaries, but commentary to them is a bit shorter compared to viewpoint. So all these things are not fixed. What is always important is if you are interested in contributing one, is always go to the journal, read the instruction, and read the kind of articles where you can fit your own commentaries, your own thoughts, your own opinion in. So another beautiful things that you can use this kind of article to do is to archive public health events. This is what I mean. Let's say there is like for instance the polio. There's like I think a few years ago we have Nigeria now completely eradicate polio. So for that kind of event, you can write an opinion piece to share what you think, your own perspective, your own insight, and what Nigeria can do to actually prevent another outbreak or to make sure that the gains in the public health is actually fully maximized in eradicating polio, for an example. And for instance, we still have wide polio in circulation, even though we've eradicated the main strain of polio, we still have wide polio in circulation. You can use that to also advocate for more surveillance, for more research, and for more additional insight on that. So you can use it to archive public health events in a way that you are trying to store your own opinion in history. For instance, you can decide to write a commentary on the impact of COVID on education. That means that many years to this time, or let's say in 2034 or something, someone just wants to look at, okay, what happened during the COVID-19 era? They can easily read your commentary and say, oh, someone wrote something about this, about their experience, about what happened this particular year during COVID. So you can also use commentary, opinion articles, perspective, depending on the angle where you want to come from, you can use it to archive them in history. And also, possibly, maybe there's an outbreak in a community and you have your own insight. You have something that you want to share, something that you think is going to be useful in understanding that particular outbreak in that particular community. You can decide to write your own opinion, your own comment, your own perspective regarding what you think should be done. So there are different dimensions and different ways that we can actually come in, and they're actually very, very important. It is not every time that we want to do original research. We have beautiful ideas from time to time. We have our own opinion. We have our own insights. And as a young researcher, it is always valuable for us to also add our voices beyond the original research that we do. And in fact, this kind of article, you can also use them to also support your research. Let's say you have been doing research in a particular area. You can start to write commentary or write opinion pieces, viewpoints on what you think about the research landscape in that field, what you think should be done, or what are the new perspectives that you want to bring on board, which you also complement your research. Even though there's an argument that, oh, okay, when they are doing departmental promotion as a lecturer, commentaries, opinion article, they actually score less. I think as early career researcher, you don't really need that now. Like, for instance, now I'm not in any university like a tenure professor or something. What I'm just interested in is to contribute my own insight to knowledge. So as early career researcher, you can do this and you will be identified as one of the thought leader in that particular field, even though you are an early career researcher. And I want to point this out, traditionally, like before now, correspondence, viewpoints, commentaries, perspective articles, editorial are normally written by experts, like experts in a particular field. But nowadays, what is important is that prestigious or that insightful ideas that you are bringing on board. So your ideas are worth it, they are valuable, and you should not just limit those ideas to just arguments on Twitter or arguments on Facebook or arguments on LinkedIn. You can write this thing up like in academic sense to contribute to discussion, to contribute your own insight, to contribute your own opinion. They are all valuable. So key consideration, like what I notice that most of the time where people actually miss it when they try to write this kind of article is to write things that are not really timely. So for you to be able to hit, let's say an opinion piece, the way you want to publish, that you want to publish in a journal or you want to publish an academic platform, basically, it has to be timely, it has to be relevant, it has to be something hot, something that people want to read, people want to see people's perspective and opinion on in that particular area. That's what the kind of topic that you should try to write on. Because if you try to write on things that are the way discussed or is not really adding anything to knowledge at that particular point in time, is likely to be rejected. So whenever you are coming up with any topic for your own commentary or opinion article, try to focus it on something that is relevant. For instance, we have the mpox outbreak presently, and maybe that's your field. You are interested in infectious disease as early career researcher, and you have interest in that particular area as well. You can start to look at what is actually happening, and do you have any idea or do you have any thought that you want to add to knowledge? It is all people want to see different perspective across different areas, across different feed. So for instance, maybe your own area of interest is digital health. You can try to connect digital health to mpox. Is there any connection? Is it going to be useful? Is it going to help us? Any disadvantage? Any advantages? You can try to document that. So timeliness is important whenever you are coming up with a topic or the title for your commentary or opinion pieces. I'm using them interchangeably because really you can decide to, what is important at the end of the day is what the journal or the platform where you are submitting them to actually define them as. Some journals we say the commentary, we say perspective, but always read their own explanation and what they want. Some will say viewpoint is 4,000 words, some will say commentary is 2,000 words, why some don't even accept this kind of articles at all. Another thing that is important is relevance. Of course, that thing needs to be useful, whether to researcher, whether to policymaker, whether to the public. It has to contribute something interesting, something relevant to the scientific discourse. Having something to say. I think this is one of the most important thing, really. If you want to write this kind of article, it is actually driven by you. You are the one leading the discussion. You are the one leading the insight that you want to add to knowledge. You are the one directing the discussion. So you have to think about what exactly do you want to talk about? So that's the very first thing. So before I even pen down or try to sit down to write commentary, I already have the ideas in my head. Like I already know how the paragraph will flow, what I want to talk about. So in most cases, this is actually led by you. But of course, it's not just that you are sharing something that is not solid, but is something that you know, and at the same time, we are trying to support it with what we know in the literature. Because some of my commentary has been cited over 100 times. So it is not that because you're writing commentary, you just want to write anything that is unscientific. No. So you also need to think about what you want to write and how you want to situate it in the body of knowledge. So that's why if you're writing commentary, you're also citing some papers as well. You're citing some previous research to support some claims and to add your own perspective on to what's already known. So having something to say is important because that's what you are doing. You are trying to comment. You are trying to share your viewpoint. You are trying to share your own perspective. You are trying to contribute to debate. You are trying to contribute to argument on a particular topic. So depending on the kind of commentary that you want to write. So having something to say is important. And again, like I said, unique contribution. There are many unique things that you can actually write on, like based maybe your feed, what you think is unique or what you think should be written about that people are not talking, like people are not really focusing on, and you want to actually pen this thing down to document it in a proper knowledge platform. Again, I would say that because Twitter is not a knowledge platform, like it's not a journal. So, but all those ideas that you have, instead of you as early career researcher, as young researcher, to continue to do that around there, and you have something unique that you want to contribute, look for a way to build them up, add flesh to it, write it up, and get them submitted um, to journals. Because journals are actually academic platform where you can actually document this thing in a more useful way that other people, other researchers can actually use them to advance knowledge in your feed. So always remember unique contribution, unique thinking. Okay, we have this particular thing. How can we bring this in? So unique thinking and unique contribution is very, very important. So like I said, why should you write this kind of article? Of course, they are useful in advancing the feed because you are contributing fresh ideas, interpretation, you are critiquing things, you are contributing to debates and all. Of course, you can also build your reputation as an expert, as a thought leader in that particular area, in that particular field where you are contributing in. And I can also say you can influence policy and practice. I've had a number of my commentaries articles, my opinion articles that have been cited in policy documents. I have a number of them. I'll just say, oh, this thing has been cited. Oh, when I see, okay, it has been cited by this. So people are using it to support arguments because it is relevant. Like I said, timeliness, it has to be relevant. So you can use your opinion pieces to actually advance knowledge, and people can actually use it as well to also advance policy discussion, practice discussion. They can actually use this kind of article as well to support some things. For instance, we read a particular article on how COVID has impacted pharmacy education, and I saw it has been cited by one document from UNESCO. So it is always good that you leverage this kind of article as well. We understand doing original research, go to the feed, get the data, analyze it. We know it is good. We know it is fine for your career. But you can leverage this kind of article as well to establish yourself as a thought leader in your feed. Advocacy. I use this quite a lot. If you see some of my commentary, I use it basically for advocacy, to advocate for things that like I stand for or something I'm interested in. So you can use it to do advocacy. For instance, maybe now that we have mpox outbreak and maybe you work with people living with HIV, maybe that's what you maybe your own area, you can start to write something to advocate for why they need to be vaccinated, to give scientific reasonable justification of why access to vaccine needs to be improved among this population, especially for mpox. Maybe you work with people who use drugs, people who inject drugs, and you think MPOS is going to affect them, you can use it to write an advocacy piece in form of commentary and get that published. So it depends on what you want to contribute, what interests you, what you want to talk about. Like I said earlier, you have to have a unique thing that you want to talk about, that you want to bring into limelight. And that simply means that this kind of article as well, you can use it to spotlight. You can use it to shine light on things that people are not talking about as well. So now structure. Regarding structure, like I said, there's really no fixed structure. So this is not something that you memorize. So I just put this here just to guide discussion, really. What is important whenever you want to write opinion piece, perspective, commentaries, depending on the kind of name they want to call it in that journal, always read the guide for authors to know the kind of thing that they want. For instance, correspondence. Let me give you an example. Correspondence or letters to the editor. For some journals, that category, basically what they use it for is to reply papers. Maybe some papers that have methodological flaw, or someone want to comment on the method, or someone want to comment on the research, or they can, most of the time they use correspondence to do that. Some journals, that's what they use their own correspondence to do primarily. While for some journals, they allow their correspondence to be used for something like opinion pieces, debates, additional insight. So for some journals, they allow that. So it's always good to read the guide so that you can know the word count, you can know the structure. And what I tell people as well is that the more you read this kind of article, the more you understand how to write them. So whenever you want to submit to a journal, and you know this particular journal, they accept opinion pieces, they accept commentary, perspective, the name, I don't know, just check the name. Always remember, check the name, check what they call it, check their own description. Because all of them, they are still opinion pieces. You are trying to share one or two things. You are trying to add additional insight to knowledge. That's what you're trying to do, basically. So always try to read what is their own definition, what is the word count, what is the number of references that they want. Some will say 5 to 10 references. Some will say they don't care, 20, 30, as long as possible. Some will say they want 4,000 words. Some will say 3,000. Some will say 1,500. Some will say 1,000. So always read it, guys. Even before I write, before I pen anything down, I already have the idea how I want it to flow, what I want to talk about. I also check the journal. I download a sample paper, maybe a commentary that's been published previously in that journal to see, okay, what is the structure? Okay, am I going to write abstract? For some, you don't need to write abstract. So what is important, what you pick from this slide basically is that always check the guide for authors to know what is expected of you in terms of structure, in terms of how they want you to write it. But overall, you're going to have the introduction where you set out, of course, what you want to talk about, what is the overview, what is the background perspective to that, and the main body, what is the argument, what is the key argument, and that can be in different subheadings. It can be in subheading, it can be maybe you're using paragraph to do that. So it depends. And of course, you conclude. So that will definitely be there. So any other thing, maybe the word count, try to check them in the journal that where you are submitting them to. But remember, what you're trying to do with this kind of article is to add something unique as well to knowledge, something insightful, something interesting, something that people will be interested in, at least to read in your feed, something that is relevant and something that is timely. Yeah, I think I talked about this already. So be clear and concise. So whenever you are writing this kind of article, it's important to be clear and concise. This is not the time to make things really difficult. This is the time you break things down, things that maybe when you're writing academic paper, you don't want to compromise on. So this is not the time to do that. You have to write in simple language that makes your writing accessible to wider audience. Policymaker, researcher, anyone at all. So you try to break things down in a way that your writing is going to be accessible to many people as possible. So you have to be engaging. You have to be able to demonstrate why this is important, and you have to be able to show your thought clearly on what you are discussing, what you are arguing on, what you are sharing insights on. You have to make sure that it is engaging, and of course, it's able to grab people's attention in whatsoever you want to talk about. Remember, you are the one driving the discussion. You are the one that have the ideas. You are the one that have the insight that you want to contribute to knowledge. use evidence. Of course, like I said earlier, you're not just putting those claims or what you are saying. Generally, you have to contribute your own thoughts, your own idea, but you have to look for a way to put it within the body of knowledge in a way that you're not just saying things that are business. So even if you are writing your own thoughts, your own opinion as well, you still need to be able to situate it within the body of knowledge in a way that people will be able to say, oh, okay, there's a link. Oh, this is insightful. Oh, this is actually true. This is possible. This is feasible. So you need to show when you are writing and whenever you are, whatever you are trying to communicate. Reflect on impact. Why are you writing it? Like, why is it important? Why do you need to write this thing? What are you trying to achieve with it? Are you trying to use it for advocacy? Are you trying to use it to document things? Are you trying to talk about something that people are not talking about? So you have to reflect on why exactly you are doing this and what is going to be the potential impact of you talking about this particular topic and what is going to be the implication for your feed. So what are the possible impacts of this on your career? It can enhance your feasibility because this paper, most of the time, of course, definitely is going to be citable, is going to be in an academic platform. People can read it. People can see the way you think. People can see beyond you doing original research that, okay, all of us, we do. So how do you think? How do you think beyond that? How can you contribute as thought leader in your field? And that will definitely increase your feasibility. Of course, that can expand your network as well. Because when you write, people that have similar thought or similar way of thinking as you or researcher can easily say, oh, this article, I've received a lot of praises when it comes to some of my opinion pieces that, oh, this is nice, this is insightful. Most of the time, it's always good to see that as early career researcher and is a particular part that most people don't really think about or like leverage as they're also doing original research. Do the original research, get the data, analyze it, but also be identified as a thought leader in your field. So it can expand your network, and at the same time, it can open doors for collaboration with other people. Of course, if you have written about something, people are now started to maybe to think about it that, oh, this is true. We need to actually do this thing in a particular way. And then maybe they are looking for papers to support that. They might actually see you and say, oh, someone has written about this thing when we are not talking about it. So as well, you can actually use it for career growth as well. And I will talk about this later. So let me give you a practical example of how you can think of possible things that you can contribute. This is published in Lancet recently, when I was just thinking about AMR and people living with disability. What's the connection? What can we, how can this thing actually affect these people? We all know AMR is a major issue in global health, and when our medication stop working because we have resistant microbes that the medication are not effective in curbing them or in killing them or in stopping their growth. So what is important to me then was, okay, how is this going to affect people living with disability? Any link? So I started thinking about possible connection and how I can actually justify this. And I wrote a commentary on this and it was accepted and published in Lancet. So whenever you are thinking about topic, think of something that is unique in your feed, something that people will want to read and see how you think in that particular direction. So always put that at the back of your mind that something that is timely, something that is relevant, and at the same time, you having something to say. It is always important. So I just thought about it that, oh, okay, people living with disability, anything link, because I've not seen a lot of, like, I've not even seen publication on that showed major connection between the two. But using what we know already in science, you can look at some things. Okay, these people, they are more susceptible to, some of them are more susceptible to some kind of infection, and that means that they will use antibiotic more, or and that simply means that they are more susceptible to risk of having maybe AMR. You can also look at it from maybe their own way of life. Some of them, they have mental health issue, which might actually affect how they use medication. So thinking on what unique idea, what unique insight that you want to bring on board. And these people, they are also significant proportion of our population. and we need to talk about them. We need to advocate for them. So that's one way of thinking. Another way of thinking that's maybe depending on what you are interested in, I noticed that for AMR, we are not talking about the mental health implication of antimicrobial resistance. Even there's no funding, there's no support, there's no research focused on that, trying to look at, okay, the way we do our advocacy, what is the impact of the when we tell people that, oh, antibiotics have stopped working, blah, blah, blah. If it stop working, this social number of people are going to die in this particular year. How does it affect the patient? How does it affect the healthcare workers? And what are the things that we can do to actually curb this, or to actually get ready in case we start having some potential mental health crisis in relation to AMR. So it's always important, again, like I said, something that is timely, something that is relevant, something that is insightful, and something that is unique. And this has been cited, I saw it has been cited by one WHO report advocating for a new dimension to looking at AMR from mental health perspective. So these are the kind of things that you definitely see when you do this kind of thing, when you write this kind of article. They are important because your opinion are also valuable. So I wrote this, I think in 2022, just to talk about, because I started my own research journey as an undergraduate. So I just said, okay, one day, can I just pen this thing down to comprehensively document what I think about the values, the benefits, and the barriers, and also the recommendation. Most of the time, people do all sorts of research on maybe barriers to do research, blah, blah, blah. But this comes from my own perspective on what I think. So this kind of topic that you can also write as well for journals based on your own field, based on what interests you, or based on your own experience as early career researcher. So I penned this thing down. I don't know, it has blew up now. It blew up now. It has been started by, I think, when I checked last, it was started by, I think, over 70 times. People are just using it to support different things, different reports on why there should be more investment in undergraduate research in terms of equipping them with the right knowledge and skills to be able to do research as an undergraduate. So those are the kind of things that comes with this kind of article. You'll be able to let your own opinion, your own insight, what you think, you put it out there. And again, remember, I can just go on Twitter easy and just type, oh, undergraduate research will be funded, blah, 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 blah. Go, cool. So it will get the retweet, it will get the likes. But now I've archived this in this particular platform for, like I said, I don't know the number of years. It's going to be there forever. That's just the point. So you are storing things in a more relevant platform for people to use it to advance discussion in your feed. So like I said earlier, you can also use this kind of article to archive things that you think or your own opinion about something. So this is also another way. We wrote this on just to talk about the need to harness the potential of African youth for transforming health research in Africa. Our own opinion, what we think, and how this should be achieved, and what should be done to make this achievable. And also, this was published recently, and it was on sex workers and mPOX response. And as we know, we have been seeing some signs or some possibility that mPOX can be transmitted through sexual contact. And sex workers are, of course, in public health, we don't want stigma. We don't want anybody to be excluded when it comes to public health response. So we decided to pen something down on the connection between sex workers and mPOX response in Africa. And I got invitation to speak on this particular topic just some weeks ago. And in fact, I got invitation to discuss with an editor in CNN to share my insight on this particular topic. So that's the practical example. And I've received this, not just this, there are many other kind of comments I've written in the past where people just want to hear more about it. They want to seek my own opinion, my own insight. So this is a CNN request. And also I got an invitation to talk about this particular topic with like a group where they actually talk about mPOX, they talk about different emerging threats in the UK. So what is important, like I said, is what this creates basically is that feasibility. Because if I didn't publish this thing, I just have this idea in my head, or I published it in, let's say, on Twitter or maybe another platform, it might not have received this kind of attention really, because it will just be there that, okay, someone's opinion. But we are able to just sit down and just think about, oh, okay, how can we write this thing up in a way that is scientific, that can actually contribute to discussion and advocate for the right of these people. Because in public health, we don't want to stigmatize anybody. Everyone should have access to good health care, no matter what you do, how you live your life. Nobody cares. What is important basically is that everyone should be able to have access to good health. And that's the mantra that we follow in global public health. So seeing this particular example, I think should be able to give additional context on some of the possibility that can actually come where you are fearless to contribute your own opinion, your own insight to knowledge. So, and recently as well, I wrote something together with a colleague to talk about the fact that marginalized population should not be excluded from antimicrobial resistance response, basically. We wrote that, but I've always had this idea that, oh, okay, one day I really want to do research to see what is the current landscape regarding response. What are countries doing regarding response to AMR in respect to marginalized and vulnerable population? Are we really doing anything yet? What is the plan for them, and what are the things that we are doing? So I wrote this 2023 just for a journal, just to archive that, my own opinion, and like with the colleagues. And recently there was a call to apply for a funding by Robert Couch for early career researcher. So I decided to just apply for it, because I always had this idea to assess what are countries doing regarding response to AMR in respect to marginalized population. So when I was writing the grant application, I had to refer to some of the commentaries that I've written, including the one on disability, including one on mental health. And this one, I cited them in the grant application that, in fact, I've been doing this particular thing to advocate for this particular cause, even before I applied to do this original research, to see what our country is actually doing when it comes to marginalized population and AMR. And finally, and luckily, is it luck? I got the funding to do the research. So I'm not saying, but these are some of the possibilities, because now this is not published in just an outlet that is not scientific. It is still a journal. It is scientific. Though it's not original research, I was able to use this, some of my past commentaries in this particular area to support the grant application. So this is also another possibility. The possibilities are actually endless. Like, there are many things, there are many possibilities that this can actually give to you in your own career, in your own research journey as early career researcher. I think this will be all, and I think I've been able to at least to give you a rough overview. But again, let me just talk about this, that writing this kind of article, basically, you can easily read other people's work and see the way they pen their own opinion down. And with that, with time, you get to learn how to actually write, how to think about topics. But I hope that with this discussion, I may be able to stimulate your interest, or to stimulate new perspective in you, in a way that you can start thinking about possible things that you can actually talk about in your own field as well. So this should be field specific or your own area of interest. Thank you very much, and I will welcome questions now, and I hope this is insightful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf Adebayo Adebisi. That was such an enlightening session. So, colleagues, now we'll be taking questions. If you like to if you like to ask your questions directly, please raise your hands. Use the hand raise icon, and we'll accommodate your questions, or you could post them into the chat box. All right, Dr. Adebisi. I have
Um,
a question. Okay, do we have someone who is asking a question already?
yes, please.
Okay, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf, for your presentation. I'm so sorry I joined in quite late, just like 10 minutes ago. So I might have missed some things from what you had said already. But from the part I heard, it was quite interesting to note that your opinions can actually be written in papers as papers and things like that. So what I want to ask is that, since they're your opinions, they are your ideas, your thoughts that you want to put together. I know that I'm new to the research space and everything, so I may not have the right words to explain it, but I'll try my best. I know that when you're writing an, a research or an academic paper, you'd have to always cite. You can't just say anything from out of thin air that doesn't have any kind of theory or something to back it up, if that makes any sense. So I want to ask, how would you be able to put down your opinions in that manner and still be able to, you know, cite or to cite or like a theory or whatever that supports that, if you maybe haven't any. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I mean, this is an opportunity for you to actually do that. This kind of article is where you can actually share your own opinion, your own thoughts about something that maybe you have in mind and you really want to communicate them. But like I said, even though they are opinion articles, they are commentaries, you also need to look for a way to situate your argument in the broad scope of what is known in your feed. It's like you are extending our way of thinking, in which some people later might decide to confirm that or to look at it in a way that, oh, okay, this is an interesting idea. So research is not just um, things that we always want to cite everything. Sometimes we want to see the researcher's perspective as well. We want to see what people think. And in fact, when we are doing original research in our discussion, you are always encouraged as well to also okay, we have the data, now we want to discuss. What do we think? Why do we think we have this particular findings? We do that quite a lot too when it comes to original research as well. But where we can do that extensively on topics that interest us is this kind of article, opinion articles, commentaries, editorial. We can share our own perspective. But at the same time, it's not just be completely baseless. You also need to look for ways that, let me give an example. Let's say you want to write about people to connect people living with disabilities and AMR. We already know about their existing vulnerability. We already know that this population are marginalized, they are vulnerable. And we know that some of them, they have frequent hospital visitation. And what this means is that these people can go to the hospital and it's possible for them to have come in contact with nosocomial infection or drug resistance infection in a way that is not similar, possibly with other with the general population, but people that are not disabled, for instance. So it's just about you looking at things in what we already know, what we don't know, and how can we actually connect this discussion to extend our understanding. So this kind of article, they are primarily for that, to share our own insight as well in a way that is logical and people can easily look at it and say, oh, okay, this is possible, this is a possibility, but we are not confirming anything yet. It's my own opinion, it's my own insight, it's what I think about that particular thing. So it does not be, for instance, someone just wake up one day and want to write commentary and say mpox is caused by bacteria. So that one will lead to a lot of argument and a lot of it's baseless, because this has been well studied that mpox is a viral infection. Simple. So that one can't be changed. But there are some things, and why this is possible really is because in health is actually a form of earth sciences. When we look at earth sciences, it has a major aspect of it to be a social science. And anything that is social is actually complex. So there are always different dimensions different ways at which you can think about things, which most of the time we cannot capture with just doing original research. So how we can actually buttress that is some of these things that is actually published as well. Okay, what are the expert opinion on this? What are people thinking about this particular thing? What's have been documented on this particular area? And how is it important to the discussion? But you that is writing the commentary or you are writing the opinion pieces, it is on you to make sure that when you are writing, you are able to as well make sure that what you are saying is actually situated within the body of knowledge, though you are extending the discussion a bit that, oh, okay, this could be some form of possibility, or it is possible that this thing might happen, or it's possible that this might be due to this particular thing. So this kind of argument, this kind of discussion are what we actually do. And in fact, in original research, like I said earlier, in discussion session, we also try to do that. That, oh, okay, we noticed this in our data. Why? Why do we see that? And why, what is the meaning? But we now have another article that allows us to be able to buttress that. So it's not just something that is completely baseless. It has to have some logical sense, and you have to be able to provide some form of justification a bit, even though you are not referencing maybe a particular paper at a particular point in time, but it has to be reasonable. Oh, okay, when this is this and this, this is unlikely to be a possibility, or this is likely to be linked to this, or this is likely to cause this. So you are still doing things that is relevant, but you are extending our understanding and the point of discussion beyond what is already known, what is already citable. I hope that is clear.
Yes, I think that's clear. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Dr. Yusuf. Okay, so the next question here is from Chidinma Pisokoro, and it says, are there particular journals that accept opinion pieces or commentaries?
Quite a lot of them. Quite a lot of journals do that. Now, there are quite a lot, but what you always have to do is to check. Let's say, for instance, maybe looking at maybe Journal of Global Health, for instance. Journal of Global Health, they have a viewpoint, they have commentaries, they have perspective. Many journals do. So what is important is for you to check to see whether they have that kind of section in the type of articles that they publish. So we have a lot of journals that actually publish this kind of article. So none is actually, there are quite a lot. So what is important basically, if you identify a particular journal, just check whether they are published, or if they don't, you look for another journal. Like Globalization and Health, they publish that. Lancet, they publish correspondence that you can use to share your own opinion, your own insights about something. All the Lancet journals, BMJ, most BMJ journals as well. Most BMC's journals, under BMC, also have that kind of article. And Public Health in Practice, journal hosted by Sevilla. So a lot of journals actually do, but what is important even before you start writing is to identify a particular journal that you think will be interested in that kind of your own idea, or it fall within the scope of the kind of article that they publish. So it's always important to check. I do that before I even start writing. I already identify the journal in my mind that, oh, okay, I think I'm going to this particular journal for this particular article. Then I check, okay, they accept this, okay, they don't accept this kind of article, okay, they accept correspondence, and it has to be 5,000, or that has to be 500 or 1,000 words. I'm going to know even before I start writing. So if it is now rejected by the journal, then you can, of course, repackage it and submit it to another journal. Yeah. So yeah, there are quite a lot of journals. It's because we don't pay attention to that, because we just want to publish original research. But now, just please try to also look out for different journals like that. They have session that allow you to publish those kind of articles. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. The next question is like a follow-up to the last one which you just answered, and it says, how do we get access to these journals as early career researchers?
Access to journals. Well, anyone is free to publish in journals. What is important is the data you are bringing on board, the insight that you're bringing on board, the ideas that you are bringing on board. So Lancet is not too small for anybody. You can, if you have an idea or something that you want to publish, you can. I publish one of the like most of most of my commentaries in like very, very good journals, like some of them in American Journal of Tropical Medicine, some of them they're like Journal of Infectious Disease. So what matters basically is what you want to contribute, that idea that you have, your own insight. So having that word access, I think generally is accessible to anyone. Like really, anyone can publish in journals. In fact, if you don't have affiliation, you can publish in journals. You can be an independent researcher. So what is important is what you are trying to share and what you are bringing on board to the journal. So you have access to journals, and in fact, you can publish in Lancet. I know undergraduates that have their publication in Lancet already, their own opinion piece and all. So it is possible. It is possible. So basically, like I said, is the idea that you're bringing on board. Journal is accessible to anyone. It's a knowledge platform. Journals are knowledge platform. So our knowledge doesn't have any monopoly that, okay, some group of people that should have this kind of thinking or should have this kind of knowledge. No, anyone can. So what is important, you're able to write it up to academic standard, and you get if it's submitted, and you wait and see what happens. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So here is my question.
Okay.
How important do you think it is for an early career researcher to get some support or to be a co-author on an article, a perspective, or any other of such categories with an established researcher? Yes, or alternatively, how easy is it for an early career researcher to independently publish? Let's say someone who is just starting the research career. How easy do you think it is to navigate publishing? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I mean, as like I said, it doesn't really matter who is bringing the knowledge on board. What is important is always the knowledge. But generally, and I think as early career researcher, you definitely need to have mentors or people that you look up to or people that you are working with. And it had more power to your paper, really. If, for instance, you write a commentary article, let's say with WHODG or something like that, it's definitely going to add weight to whatever you're talking about. So it's always good to have someone there, someone that is an expert or someone that you think has more knowledge in that area that you can invite for possible collaboration to submit any kind of article to journals. So they are there to give you expert insight, because you're an early career researcher. There might things that you're going to overlook or you don't pay close attention to them. And this kind of mentorship, this kind of support are always invaluable. They are always useful. So it is important. And at the same time, it is not necessary. If you know that you have something that you want to contribute and you can do it independently, go ahead. But it's always beneficial as well that you have that kind of support from people that have been working in this particular area. They can give you fresh perspective, fresh insight that you want to write the commentary or you want to write the article you're not thinking about. So that's also useful. So in fact, good research, big research, you need good collaboration as well. You need people to support you. So when you are doing original research, you need other people to come together and you brainstorm, you share ideas, you share knowledge together, and you get these things out in a more sophisticated way. But some people will argue as well that, okay, we have peer review process where you get feedback from, let's say, experts in a particular field. But most of the time, for early career researcher, that can even lead to rejection, because if you see that, oh, what you have written is not up to standard, because you're just starting, the way you pen things down, the way you make arguments are not so solid. But if you have some form of if you seek feedback from people that have been doing this for years, they can easily give you, oh, this you should do this in a particular way, and that will also increase your chances of getting accepted. So it has its own good side. But of course, that doesn't mean that you cannot publish on your own. You cannot have an idea on your own and develop it in a way that is publishable, and you being the sole author. It's fine. But what is important at this time is basically your own contribution to knowledge. That's what is important. What are you contributing to knowledge? Whether you are contributing with people or whether you are contributing yourself. So what are you contributing to knowledge is what is important and what you need to reflect on. But the role of mentorship, the role of having someone that's an expert in that particular area cannot be overemphasized. It is important for you to have those kind of people that you can easily send your write-up to. They can give you feedback, then you can get this kind of things submitted to journal. It's adding more weight to what you are writing because their insight is the insight they are sharing is useful and definitely is going to help your work. You're going to make it more solid, and of course, being on the paper as well can actually add more because they're already well known in the field. People already know that okay, this person is an expert in this particular area, and if you co-author with them, you have a paper with them, whether it's first author or second author, no matter the position, you are actually improving your own network as well, and you are networking with people that have been there and they've done that. So, but that doesn't mean that if you don't have that kind of access and you have the knowledge, you have something that you want to contribute, learn by trial and error. By the time you have like 5 rejections from journals, you will know that okay, there's something wrong, there's something I need to learn, there's something I need to build on. And for me, when I started publishing, like I have a number of rejection from journals, this, that. Even till now, it's normal. Like in academics, you cannot stop that. You are definitely going to have rejection. Someone somewhere is going to give you comment on your paper that you don't like. But what I realize now is that most of the time, when you receive this kind of comment as well, they toughens you, they provide opportunity for you to go back to your paper and reflect. In fact, when I submit some papers to journals, I will think that this paper is okay, this is good. But when I get the reviewer report, I'm like, oh, this is this is an insightful perspective. Though not every time. So a reviewer will say something that you wonder where is this coming from? But most of the time, most reviewer comments, even if they are not really that objective or something, still look at it. Once you look at it, you're able to learn from how people are thinking about that particular thing that you submitted and what you can do to improve it. Most of the time, after peer review, if you notice, the quality of your work tends to actually increase. Like, because some of the comments actually are helpful to solidify whatever you're trying to pass across. And you will notice that when you write yourself, you are not your best critic, really. It's that someone read your work. It's that someone look at your work and say, okay, why not this? Why not that? You didn't put this, you didn't put that. You make a mistake here, so it's always good to have that kind of support. And mentorship is actually the first bridge before you actually get those papers submitted to journal. So it is very, very important. But if you don't have access, you can learn by trial and error as well. I hope that is clear.
Yes, it is. Deborah, okay. Please unmute to ask your question.
So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the excellent insights. So just to ride on the question about access, can you be much more specific about maybe APC charges or maybe waivers? Because I think that's one of the major maybe barriers which people would consider, particularly maybe from LMICs, considering maybe even the exchange rate and all that. So could you maybe give some more clarification on that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I actually overlooked that because that's a major barrier really to publishing as early career researcher, get your paper out. But again, most journals, like most international journals, they actually have options for APC waiver and all. If you are based in maybe let's say in low and middle income country, you have access to APC waiver, which you can actually request for. You can look for a way to maybe send email to them or to the editor and ask for that. And at the same time, there are, for instance, for Lancet for their correspondence, it is free to publish correspondence of maybe 850 words in Lancet. It is free to do that. So there's also some journals that have some kind of articles that are actually also that are free, that you don't need to pay article processing charges. Again, I understand that it's always important that you publish open access because open access makes it easy for people to read your paper. They don't have to go behind paywall or look for someone in a high income country to help them download the paper. So it's always good as well to publish in open access platform because that increase the feasibility of your work and people can easily read them and use them. And that comes at a fee. But if you are based in low and middle income country, most of the time you have options from journals where they give full waivers. So you definitely need to be on the lookout for those kind of journals. I have a particular list of possible journals that are free. I mean, health journals, public health, community health, social science, social health, social medicine that are free. I don't know how to get that across, but that's on my YouTube channel. I've made a compilation of different. Let me see if I can just send the link to the chat, the link to the video. Let me look for it. So they have journals that are free and they are also very good. Like they are well indexed. Google Scholar, Scopus, Web of Science, they are indexed and they are also like they are good. And you can consider that for your paper. So another option is to ask for waiver from journals. There are journals that will give you waiver. Make sure that you do that before you go far into peer review. Because some will say, okay, you have to do that before you apply or before you submit your paper. Some will say, okay, maybe after. And for most journals as well, some journals, they actually make it free for you to publish commentaries. They only charge for original research. So there are a lot of things, complexity around APC, but I know it is a major challenge to publishing. But there are also ways around that you can get waiver. Another thing is for all BMC journals, this is an hack. You can actually publish for free if you have corresponding author from low-income country. That means that maybe you need to collaborate with someone from another low-income country, not low and middle-income countries. That Nigeria is low and middle-income country. Low-income country like maybe Rwanda, countries like that, you can get full APC if they are the one that submit the article. If you can still be the first author, but for them being the corresponding author, you can get waiver. For all BMC journal, BMC Public Health, BMC Global Public Health, BMC Infectious Disease, BMC Medicine, you can get full waiver. So there are some tricks and some ways around these things. And that's one of, if you can sacrifice that, you being a corresponding author, like the submitting author, the person submitting the paper, if you can sacrifice that, and you have maybe you've worked with someone maybe in another place, you guys can come together. The person will submit. You can still be the first author if you are the like the major contributor. Corresponding author just basically means that they are corresponding with the journal. So there are some schools, I don't know why they attach some form of importance to it. So it doesn't really add any. What is important, you being the if you are the first author, you have the position. And you can look for someone, any of the BMC journal, they give waiver. And most journals, even from most BMJ journal as well, they try to give waiver for people from this kind of, from low income country. So let me look for the link and you can see some free journals where you can publish. We have a journal by WHO as well. We have journals by different organizations that they don't charge. So you can, let me, so this is so there is the link to the video. So different journals in public health space that are free presently where you can submit your paper to. So I know access is a problem, but we also have to look for a way to navigate that as early career researcher. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Peace Okoro, your hand was up at a time. Kindly unmute.
My question was already asked by the last speaker, the last person who asked the question. So
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Yes, my last question. You know, AI is all over right now, and people use it. Some people use it in writing and the rest. So I would like to ask, what are the ethical considerations when using AI in scientific writing?
Thank you very much for that. I mean, AI is here to stay. There's nothing we can do. And in fact, most institutions in high-income country, they allow their students to now use it because they've seen that, oh, this is actually something that we need to learn how to use, and at the same time to teach students on how to use it in like ethically, the way you just asked the question here. Now, so what is important really is that you don't give you don't just wait for AI to give you things that you should think about. You can use AI to improve your writing, but don't give AI the power over your own thinking, so that you don't even have the opportunity to think about anything again. You are just using AI to think. So we should use it as tool as early career researcher. You can use it to proofread your writing. You can use it to brainstorm on possible things that you have in your mind. Those are like possible things that you can do. But now using AI to just, okay, write this thing for me, then you just put it, cut and paste, and publish it in journal. And in fact, recently we've seen some papers. I know you've seen some things like that where you will see some authors trying to use AI, and you see something like, oh, I cannot do this particular thing, all those kind of AI things that come up from ChatGPT. So what is important as early career researcher is to use this as tool. They are here to stay. All the AI things, they are here to stay. You have to maximize them to your own benefit as a tool, not you giving up on your own thinking faculty to you give it to AI to always do the thinking for you. You also have to be bold enough to know what you want to write, what you want to contribute, and at the same time, you can use it to brainstorm, to have some form of Socratic discussion with the AI. What do you think? Can you set the internet to look at what is already known about this particular thing? You can use it as tool to guide you, because it is here to stay. And if you decide to use it, don't just use it to write everything. You also have to sit down and look at what has been written, because as you know, you have seen a lot, some of the errors that this thing is going to bring. It's not perfect. So you don't just think that, okay, this thing, the output is going to be perfect. Oh, okay, it's fine like that. You also need to look at it critically, read it. Oh, this thing, okay, is it well written? Is this really true? Is this correct? So you can, that's why most of the time, personally, I use it to proofread. Okay, can you look at this? Can you correct any maybe grammatical mistake, or can you correct any error without changing my own idea, without changing the way I'm thinking? Because if you give the AI the opportunity, you just go and think about different things and just give it something in a way that you don't want. So you also have to lead the writing, and that's the ethical way of using it. You have to be on top of your game. That, okay, this is what I want to say, this is what I want to write, and you use the AI to maybe to correct grammatical error, or to help you look at, okay, what are the possible errors in your writing that you need to correct. This kind of thing, it is good to use it for that, and you can use it to brainstorm. You can use it to have some refresher course. For instance, if I want to maybe do some refresher understanding on some statistical tool or approach, I can say, for instance, can you give me a brief overview on Cox proportional hazard model? How do I check the assumption? I also use it to read, to learn. But most of the time, again, you also have to be able to spot when this thing is saying rubbish, because sometimes it's going to hallucinate and say things that is not correct. So you also have to be on top of your game. That's why you need to use it as tool to improve you as an early career researcher. Because if you are not using it, then why? So you still don't say, okay, no, I'm not using it. I'm not using it for anything. It's not useful. We all know that this thing is useful. It is useful. It makes it easy for you to be able to edit easily. You can brainstorm with it. You can have discussion with it without asking anybody. So in the course of your room, you can just, okay, this thing, I've been trying to do this thing. What do you think about this thing? You can get ideas. Okay, I'm stuck regarding this particular analysis in my work. What do you think about this thing? Give kind of very good prompts, because that's also another thing. Giving good prompts is also very, very important. If you give good prompt to it, it's going to be able to give you good things that can actually help you. So many times, maybe I'm stuck in a particular analysis and maybe I just need another person's opinion. Maybe I don't have access to people to ask at that particular point in time. I can easily use AI. Oh, okay. In her, I cannot check for this particular assumption. I cannot check for multicollinearity. And most of the time, AI is going to give you the code that you're going to use. So if you're a data analyst or you're in data science space, there's no way you say this is not useful, because it can even write some code for you that you can easily just put in the platform and just, okay, maybe how do you check for how do you do a logistic regression, for instance, in the SPSS? It's going to give you step-by-step guide on how to do that. But that means that you're just using it as tool. You already know what you want to do, and you need something to give you insight on it. So use it as tool, but don't give all your thinking faculty to AI. that, okay, you are not even thinking about anything again. You just use it as, okay, write this thing for me, blah, 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 blah. Then you copy and paste and submit it to journal. No, that's wrong. So you also have to think, read it carefully, look at it. And in fact, it's always good to prepare the first draft yourself on what you think and how you want to direct your writing and the way you want to structure it. The AI is good at maybe helping you to reshape or give you outline. For instance, if you want to write maybe review as well, you can use it to give you, okay, what are the possible outline for this particular topic that I want to write. Then you can adapt it. Use it like as your personal assistant, not that is the one AI is using you as personal assistant. It should not be the other way around. It's a tool that you should use. So, but be careful on how you use it, because AI can give you wrong information, wrong responses. And in fact, it put it there that is that some of the time, like sometimes you have some responses that are incorrect. So you also have to be on top of your game whenever you are using AI. So you need to learn how to use it ethically, not in the wrong way, like the way people do copy and paste. Okay, copy and paste this, write the introduction for this particular manuscript for me, then you copy and paste it. No, that's wrong. You have to lead it. You have to lead it. Okay, this is my work. I have to take full ownership. I hope that is clear.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So just a brief follow-up to that question. Okay, recently I was taking a look at the BMC journal series, and I saw a section where they mentioned that one must if one made use of an AI tool, it must be stated or referenced kind of in the reference list. So I want to confirm with you how, if in case one uses it, how does one report that one has used it to fine-tune the prepared?
Is that all?
Yes, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. Some journals really, they want you to declare if you've used AI in any part of your writing at all, whether for editing, then you have to declare that okay, AI was used to do this, to do that. While some journals, they're just silent about it, they don't care whether you use AI or not. They will still go through the normal peer review and look at what you've written in an objective sense. So some journals we not talk about that you should declare anything. While some journals will ask you to provide a session on that, which you should do, because it's not bad. Like it's not, you're not doing something that is wrong. So far, at the end of the day, it's still your work. It's still your, because anything you publish is definitely going to be under your name. So you don't want to publish something that is incorrect or something that is wrong. Especially as early career researcher that you're just starting out. So you don't want to tarnish or maybe have some form of things that you don't want in your own name or your own career. So you have to try as much as possible to make sure that if they ask you to declare it there. If they then ask you to declare, make sure that you've done what is necessary to make sure that this is what you actually represent. This is what you actually think, and this is your opinion, and this is what you we stand for. So if you use AI as writing assistant, people use before now, people give people like researchers give their manuscripts to language editors to edit. Okay, edit this manuscript for me. Some researchers actually do that. So with the edit and send it back. So you see the similar sense of using AI to edit your work. But what is important is that you don't solicit all your thinking to AI. You also have to try as much as possible to use it as tool. So if they ask you to declare if you have used AI, put it there that, oh, I use AI for this particular session or this part of my writing, or maybe percentage. If you want to put percentage there, you put it there. But remember, any output, nobody will challenge AI. You are definitely going to be the one that would be challenged, not AI. Nobody will go to ChatGPT and say, oh, okay, you are the one that wrote this thing. Why? You are telling us something that nobody will do that. Like you are the one. It's under your name. And before now, people, they will want to experiment this, that, okay, if you use ChatGPT, you should have ChatGPT as author. But that has died down now. Like, I mean, in the early days, people are trying to say, okay, and in fact, there are some papers like that you see ChatGPT as author. But now people say that's not necessary. If you use it, you are using it under your name. If you're using it to do wrong thing, then that's definitely going to have implication or impact on your own name. Definitely. So if they ask you to declare, please declare that in the manuscript. But why some journals don't really care? What they care about is that you've done the job and you can boldly say that this is my work as well, and it is your own thinking. Even if you use AI for editing, it is perfectly fine. But remember, that work is yours. It is your name. You are the author of that work. Nobody will question AI for any wrong thing that you've written in your manuscript or any wrong approach that you've taken. So it's just about taking ownership of the knowledge that you are contributing to knowledge, of what you're contributing to knowledge, basically. So I hope that is clear. So if they ask you to declare, please declare it. There's always a session for declaration. If they ask you, if they have a session for that, some journals will say they have a particular session for you to declare. Put it there that AI was used for editing or this manuscript. Nobody will say your work is substandard or anything. We are not our first language, like our mother tongue is not English, though it's looking like that now, because from start we have been like we are taught in English and all, but we are still not perfect, and that's normal. So what is important is that if you need help, you can use it to edit, but please don't solicit all your thinking completely to this tool. Use it as your assistant. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adebisi. It's been an exciting and educative session with you today. Please, participants, let's appreciate Dr. Adebisi. He's a very busy person. Based on the conversation, you know he's a core researcher, yeah, and he's prioritized this meeting session with us today. We appreciate you immensely. Thank you so much. It's been a very good journey with you learning on this space today. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah. So participants, as our educator today has described, please let's start putting the lessons into practice. Don't wait until you go to the field to collect data. We have body of knowledge around us. Check journal websites for publications. You can always start from any point. And it's good that we ensure that our publications or our writings are timely. And when we need mentorship, please let's reach out to mentors, especially people who are established in the field. Okay? Thank you very much, everyone, for participating in the webinar today. As mentioned at the opening of the event, it has been organized by Plus-CircleCommunityHealth Advancement Organization. The webinar holds weekly, 8 a.m. GMT +1 every Saturday. And we look forward to having Dr. Adebisi and other colleagues subsequently to take us through insightful sessions on how to develop and build our research competence. All right, participants, please enjoy the rest of the weekend. Goodbye for now.